Hello, I'm Troy Harmon, Director of Research at Henssler Financial. And this is Nick Antonucci, our Research Analyst, and this is your Wall Street Week Ahead for the week of May 22nd, 2017. Nick, we got quite a bit to talk about as far as housing in the first part of this week, so just as well kick it off with new home sales for April. Consensus 625,000 units, up 0.6% on the month and 9.26%, much better, on the year over year.
Absolutely. This will be our first housing-related release of the month. This covers the period of April. There's a one-month lag. So hopefully we'll continue to see improvement in not only the number of units sold, but home prices, new home prices as well. Last month we saw the average sales price for a new single-family home tick up to $388,200. That's a 5.6% year-over-year increase. And it's also worth noting the bright spot has been, of the four census regions, the Northeast, as they've got easier comps coming off of tough winter weather in the early part of the year.
Right, yeah. Economists like to blame everything on the weather if they can.
Why not, right? It's an easy out.
Existing home sales for April we'll get on Wednesday. Looking for a little bit of a pullback, negative 0.7%.
Right.
On the month over month, 4.4% relative to the previous year. Still not a terrible number, right?
No, a good year-over-year increase. It is coming off a pretty strong March reading, so not a huge shock that we're not going to see that continued strength through the next month. But it is worth noting that this one's a little more closely watched by us, considering existing home sales account for between 85 to 90% of all home sales. You're going to get data not only on single-family homes, but multifamily, condos, co-ops.
Yeah. Next detail we'll see is the FOMC minutes for the May meeting. We know we didn't get a rate increase. They held steady over the month.
The biggest thing here is going to be we're going to be watching for the details behind that decision in May not to raise rates. We'll hopefully see some hinting towards how the Fed plans to unwind the balance sheet, which will probably come not till later in the year, but also maybe we'll get a change in language that hints towards our expectation that in June we will get our next increase. I think last time we looked at the implied probability of a rate increase, it was 100%. So we'll look for anything that deviates from that and hopefully get some more clarity.
Absolutely. Friday. First quarter GDP, first revision, or our second release. We're looking for 0.9%, which is a little better than our initial reading of 0.7%, but still well below the 2.1% we saw in the fourth quarter of 2016. So any details you want to cover there, Nick?
Yeah, and as we always mention, Q1 is typically one of the weaker, if not the weakest quarter of the year, so not a huge shock that we're going to see a decline from the fourth quarter.
Weather's fault again, right?
Absolutely, why not blame it? But I do think it's worth mentioning that even at 0.9%, we're below the initial expectation, I think, of 1.1 for first quarter growth. That was the initial expectation. So it's a bump, it's an increase, we'll take it, but it's still shy of what we had initially expected.
Yeah. Then on Friday, we also get a reading, University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Surveys, kind of an indication as to where the consumer's mind is, right?
Sure, and that's going to give you an idea. If the consumer is not feeling optimistic about the economy, you're likely going to see a drop in consumer spending. Consumer accounts for what, more than 85% of GDP. So this is an important factor that plays into economic growth. The good news is we're continuing to see strong consumer sentiment numbers. Consensus for 97.5. That's down from a high in January of 98.5, but still a pretty impressive reading. So consumer seems optimistic about current conditions as well as future expectations.
Yeah, still a little bit lighter than last reading as well. We get this twice a month, so it's something we watch pretty closely. That's been your Wall Street Week Ahead from Henssler Financial for the week of May 22nd. Thank you for watching.